Okay, I'm sitting here experimenting with all the little things that are here on YouTube to try to figure out, oh, I can share screen. I can share screen. I'm going to try that a little bit later on. I might be able to have a surprise for you guys if I can figure that out. We'll wait till later after we've gotten through what we need to get through. And then if I mess up, then at least it'll already be the end of the stream. So good evening, everyone. Today is Friday, September 20th, 2024. And I am your hostess, Sherry Peel Jackson, here to talk about how to escape the rat race. Today is a special day, and I'm gonna I'm gonna share it a little bit later on. But last week we talked about Kamala Harris's platform. We'll get to Trump today. We're going to talk about his platform today, which is a whole interesting story. But before we do that, I want to address a few of the comments that arose out of our discussion last week. There were some interesting comments that came up. Here's the first one, and I'm going to read both of them verbatim. So this one says, none of what you're reading has been vetted. You do great harm to people by putting up videos as clickbait. Now, I know how people get turned away from reality. It's from listening to people who sound as if they know what they're talking about, but who don't. This is sad. And I was kind of taken aback by that one because although she changed her website to match the format of Trump's website sometime after I pulled the information down, I got all of that information straight from Kamala Harris's website. And that's very interesting that that comment was made. And I got that information straight from her website. So that was very interesting. What was I supposed to vet? I don't know. If the person, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, if they were talking about the situation in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, well, the governor got up there and basically said those things. He said, there were 60,000 people here now, and there were 40,000. So there are 20,000 more people. And also you have videos out there of them having town hall meetings. And in the town hall meetings, the people that actually live there are talking and they're sharing their hearts about what's happening. So I'm going to believe the people on the ground that are pouring their hearts out to their city council people rather than the lamestream media. And, if the person was really talking about something different, I don't know. I would rather believe those people, the things that I heard them say when I was watching the videos. And as far as the, cats and dogs and pets and all that stuff like that, I actually said that you can't believe everything that you hear and see. And someone had put it in the chat that you can't believe everything that you hear and see. And that's true. And, there are people online verifying the fact that Haitians eat dog and cat. Some of these people are actually Haitians. They're verifying that.
So, the dog and cat part, I don't know, but that's verified. All you got to do is take a look. So the way I try to present information is to get it from online, from like the horse's mouth. The horse in this case is the governor of Ohio, and the horse in the whole platform case is Kamala Harris's platform. I don't know what else I could do. I noticed that people hear what they want to hear if you're stepping on territory that's sacred to them. That's a thought of mine. My mentor, put a one in the chat if you have heard of Dr. Myron Golden. So my mentor did a powerful, powerful Bible study yesterday on his YouTube channel. So he has a regular YouTube channel, Myron Golden. It's got about 700,000 people in subscribe, but he just made a new channel. I think there's maybe about 24,000 people that have subscribed, but it's strictly for Bible study because he wanted to, we've been advised that when you have several different subjects that you talk about, the algorithm doesn't work well with you if you're talking about too many different things. So stick to his topic. So he's sticking to, finances and making money. He's a genius at making money. And then he has a new Bible channel. So he did that on the Bible channel, and I'm going to put in the chat the link for that. Let me find it first. I'm going to put it in there. Okay, take my time today because I'm just going to do it. Let's see how to do that. Let's see if I can paste. Let's see how that works. So the statements that I want to repeat here, as I placed the link to that Bible study in the chat, and I actually did put it in the discussion box, is that most people don't love truth. They want to make truth what they love. I'm going to say that again. Most people don't love truth. They want to make true what they love. Another one was, people don't like truth because the truth requires that you change because it can't change. And the final one that I wanted to say was, this is a powerful one. And this is his belief. I believe that we are in a situation in the United States that we are under such intense judgment because all we have to choose from is Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Just wholeheartedly. So go look at the Bible study from yesterday. I had it in the link. It's like 37 minutes. It's not, too terribly long, but it's very powerful. And it basically had kind of some of the sentiments that I have. Everybody might not agree, and we can agree to disagree. The second comment that came in concerning my whole thing, I guess, talking about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And I really like this question, or this line of questioning, because I think that maybe some more of you might have that same line of questioning. So it says, what's up with your sudden interest in politics? Since you don't vote anymore, I'm surprised that you're getting involved with the political pundits. Is this a new path that you're going to take? I thought you were going to focus on financial literacy projects that will help people and organizations. And like I said, that's a very valid question. I think others may have that question also. So I am going to read my response to that line of questioning. It says, I'm done with politics after tonight. I just wanted to make the point that Myron made, that we have devolved to the point that we have two horrible people as the only ones that could win. And that, wait a minute, okay, so let's go back. We have two horrible people as the only ones that could win, and that people don't have to vote because changing the players without changing the game is an act in futility. And y'all heard me say that before. Changing the players, like shifting players around, instead of changing the game is an act in futility. And then I went on, I said, so many people are riled up against Kamala or against Trump, but our financial situation never changes for the better. And I didn't put this part in there, but over the last 80 decades, what has changed for us in the positive, regardless of whether there's a Democrat or Republican in office? Then I said, it seems like Black people, and I'm specifically talking about us now, think they will die if they don't vote, or that not voting will someday cause the end of the world because their mortal enemy, whether it be her or him, will win. We have been thoroughly brainwashed, and I need to make those points. And I also wrote this next week, we'll start a basic financial survival series because no matter who gets in office, we're going to have utter chaos early next year. So that's how I answer those. I have also placed a second link in the description, and I'm going to take my time and make sure I don't mess up. And I'm going to go over and add that link to the chat also. And what this is I'm just now becoming aware of this man, but doesn't matter what religion he is, doesn't matter where he's from. He speaks truth to what I feel about not voting. Some of you before also said in the chat and then in the discussion that you don't vote. This man says it better than I could say it myself. So I am going to sneak over to where I saved all of the little links. Pick it up. One day I'm going to get good at this, guys. It's not yet, though. I'm going to pick up that and I'm going to put that in the chat. That one's only 12 and a half minutes. Look at that when you get a chance. And everyone will understand how I feel about voting. So that's taken care of. Let the church say amen. Now, I have the information about Donald Trump's platform campaign. Now, I wanted to also say we're not here to discuss, moral character and all of that because both of them have serious infractions on each side. That's not where we're going. We're going with what the platform says. Now, as I stated a little bit earlier, Kamala's platform page changed after I did the live last week. Early last week, I printed off Trump's platform information. And guess what? Yesterday, when I went back on, it's changed. So I guess it's customary for them to keep changing their sites. There's an interesting thing about Donald Trump's, though, because his original one that I actually printed out had maybe about 10 or 12 points to it, and they had paragraphs under the point. So, as if to, deeply dive into what he wanted. And it was a Donald Trump platform. But when you go to the Trump page now, it's no longer a Donald Trump platform. It's a Donald Trump and the Republicans platform. So I teetered on whether I was going to read the information that I got early this week, but I decided not to because I want to stay true to what they have on there now, even though it may change what they had on there today, which is a whole bunch of whatever. So I am going to start. I'm not going to go through it all. He has 20. Okay, what it says at the top and before you get down to the detail, it says President Trump's 20 core promises to make America great again. And I never did like that slogan because America has not been great for everybody. If y'all know what I mean. It has not been great for everybody. It was obviously great for him. He grew up, with money, and he's gotten a chance to do all of these things that he wants to do, when he wants to do it, how he wants to do it, and who he wants to do it with. But for the most part, a lot of us have not had those privileges, and it's been rough. And even for, different segments, it's even been rougher. So I don't feel that America was ever great for me. But, if he wants to make America great again, but it's promises. Now go back to that. 20 promises. How are you going to promise that these things are going to get done. So I'm going to read them really quick, and then we're going to deep dive into the so-called specifics of it. So these, and I'm going to read them really quick. These are the 20 promises. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. End inflation and make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War III. Restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. I'm sorry. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Okay, let me take a break just a second. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Keep the US dollar the world's reserve currency. Fight for and protect, I'm sorry. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no charges to the retirement age. No changes to the retirement age. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Cut federal funding for any school pushing. Let's start again. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Keep men out of women's sports. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Okay, I did that one. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. And number 20, unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. Right on the front of the page, those 20 things are there. So, okay. So then there's like 20 more pages with a lot of stuff on there. I'm not reading all of this. I'm hitting the highlights and I'm going to go pretty fast. So they're in chapters. It's just they've got chapter 6. I think there are 8 chapters. Chapter 8. Let's see. No, chapter 9, chapter 10. So they're 10 chapters. I'm going to hit some of the highlights in them. Chapter 1 is called Defeat Inflation and Quickly Bring Down All Prices. The Republican Party. Now, it doesn't say Donald Trump anymore. Some of the things said Donald Trump, and they're referencing what he did in his last presidency. But most of this stuff has shifted from last week when I was on the site. And it's basically now, okay, we need to change this website and not make it just about Donald Trump. That's what I feel has happened anyway. So each one of these chapters starts out with their commitment, and I'm not going to read all the commitments, but this one says the Republican Party will reverse the worst inflation crisis in 4 decades that has crushed the middle class, devastated family budgets, and pushed the dream of home ownership out of reach of millions. We will defeat inflation, tackle the cost of living crisis, improve fiscal sanity, restore price stability, and quickly bring down prices. How? It's interesting, that they talk about this inflation stuff and they talk about these things. I'm going to go to the next one. Unleash American energy. They're going to do that by lifting restrictions on American energy products and terminating the new Green Deal. Okay, that's something that's kind of a little bit it's a policy that they can do that. They can do that. But then it says Republicans, not Donald Trump, Republicans will unleash energy production from all sources, including nuclear, to immediately slash inflation and power American homes. Yeah, they can reverse some stuff maybe, but let's go to the next one. Republicans will immediately stabilize the economy by slashing wasteful government spending and promoting economic growth. How? The Congress and the Senate pass all these bills every year. As a matter of fact, Senator Ron Paul and now Rand Paul has this Festivus report of all of the government pork, where they spend all this money. And the Republicans are part of it too. So how are the Republicans and Trump going to stop what they've been doing for decades? I mean, do you all remember I talked about, I think it was like some crazy millions of dollars to see how cow flatulence affects the ozone layer? Things like that. And it may be important to them, but there's people starving on the streets. So how are they going to do that? Another one, Republicans will reinstate President Trump's deregulation policies, which saved Americans $11,000 a household. That's on energy. So he had a policy um, of deregulation, and then he's saying reinstate that one. Okay. Republicans will secure the border, deport illegal aliens, and reverse the open borders policy that has caused out. How? They're going to end global chaos and restore peace through strength. How? And these are little, see his other site, I'm going to show it to you. So this was the other one. It had these paragraphs, and everyone had a paragraph about a different subject, but they took that one down, and it's more leaning towards the way the Harris campaigns was. So it's almost like they were at these polar ends, and they're trying to make both of them look about alike. I don't know if that's true or not. Before I go to the next page, I will check the chat right quick. Knowing what is being forced on us is in the future is still financial literacy. Knowledge is power. Yeah, we do need that. And I'm like I did say to the person that I'm going to, this is it. I'm just telling you all, this is like 20, 30 pages worth of stuff that I've gone through to tell you all what these people are actually saying, and does it mean anything to us. But we're gonna start a series next week. So chapter 2 says seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. What I wrote at the top of this is like details need to be on these sites. Now this one says Republicans offer an aggressive plan to stop the open border policy, but it's nowhere on site. I mean online. I couldn't find it. I actually looked. It's not on their site. It's not on his site, and it's not on any site that I could find. I mean, I'm a pretty good researcher, but I couldn't find it. Republicans will restore every border policy of the Trump administration and halt all release of illegal aliens into the interior. How's he gonna do that? An executive order? I don't know. Here's another one. Republicans will use existing federal laws to keep foreign Christian hating communists, Marxists, and socialists out of America. Those who join our community must love our country. We will use extreme vetting to ensure that jihadists and jihadist sympathizers are not admitted. I really wanted to quit right there because the words pure propaganda just started flashing in my head. It's like whoever wrote this is a wordsmith. They knew how to rile up the people that are, along this line right here. And I just wanted to quit, but because I went in on Kamala, I got to go in on this one. So I didn't quit, y'all. I didn't quit. Republicans will cut federal funding to sanctuary jurisdictions that release dangerous illegal alien criminals into our streets. How are you going to do that? Republicans will prioritize merit-based immigration. But not too long ago, President Trump said that he was going to let a whole bunch of people in. He was really talking about the ones that had degrees, but what about the people here that have degrees and are out of work right now? Okay. They probably changed it because they feel Kamala was copying talking points. And she did. She had some of the ones like the tips and stuff like that he said a while ago. But it's like, just stick with what you're saying. Say what you need to say. Say the truth. And that's what Dr. Golden was talking about. People don't want to deal with the truth. So the next chapter is chapter 3, build the greatest economy in history. A lot of this stuff is real grandiose, the best, the biggest, the brightest, all of that stuff is in here. And it's like, has no context, and it's like megalomaniac-ish. I'll leave that alone. Okay, cut regulations. Republicans will slash regulations that stifle jobs, freedom, innovation, and make everything more expensive. So they're going to stop all these things from making stuff more expensive. What if the Democrats have the majority? What if some of the Republicans don't want? How are you going to promise? How are you making these promises? Who do you think we are? Who do you think we're going to go for this? We're not going for this, but I got to go forward. Okay. Make this one I agree with and I like. 1, make the Trump tax cuts permanent. That part. The Republicans will make permanent the provision of the Trump tax cuts and job acts. Wait a minute. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act that doubled the standard deduction, expanded the child tax care credit, and spurred economic growth through all Americans. And I have to say that during those years, my business did better than it ever did because of some of the things that were put in place for small business. And it would be great for those to be permanent because they are literally supposed to fall off in 2025. So we get that privilege for the 2024, but as of January, we don't get that again. It would be great for them to stay on. And then he's talking about they will eliminate taxes on tips for millions of restaurant and hospitality workers. I went out there and looked, and it's like, okay, so a lot of those people are below the point where they have to pay taxes anyway. A lot of them are. They don't make enough to pay taxes. So if they have something taken out of their check, they get that all back. Also, I heard another argument about why it would hurt, but we'll just leave it at that. One more on this page about the greatest economy. The Republicans will increase energy production. We talked about that, lowering energy prices. You're going to increase energy production and lower energy prices. How? I know that we talked about the pipeline and opening that back up, but what else is there, and how are you going to do that? So we're going to go on to chapter 3. I'm going to check the chat every time I change pages. Most who are vote Republican are Gen X. The media of their time was targeted at them. Do you remember Schoolhouse Rock? I do. Remember how Saturday Night Live and The Simpsons gave us the real truth of it? I do. And, one of the reasons I don't watch television these days, because it's no truth. Schoolhouse Rock was a real help for us. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here. All of that stuff. I mean, I'm what, 61 years old, and I still remember that stuff. So it helped. What is a conjunction? All these things, adverbs, and an adverb is a word. It's followed by a verb and followed by an adjective. All of that stuff. But again, if there's a plan in place to dumb down the children and adults of America, then Schoolhouse Rock doesn't have a place here. It doesn't have a place here. We're not going to get into that yet. We'll get into some education stuff a little bit later on. Now, let's see. Trump is, let's just say, rubbing Israel back. I don't get that one, but okay. Trump also now added no taxes on overtime. I did see that one. It didn't make it into this, or either I missed it. That's why there is a difference of opinion between the baby boomers and Gen X. They made each other hate the thoughts of the other. Divide and conquer has always been their MO, and we got to stop letting it work. They're trying to divide us by, that's another one, by generation, by gender, by race, by religion, by political affiliation. And they do that to keep us fighting each other while they, what I say, they build this sheeple cage around us. And before we know it, we're all caged in and we're all together in this cage that has been built while we were paying attention to, what this person was doing, or, this person, I don't like this person, or we got to stop. Anyway, chapter 4, bring back the American dream and make it affordable again for families, young people, and everyone. Can you say cliche? Anyway, housing affordability. Help new home buyers. Republicans will reduce mortgage rates by slashing inflation. The Federal Reserve is the one that controls interest rates. After all this time, they just took it down, I think, a fourth of a point. Well, how are you going to do that? How are the Republicans? Are you going to bust up in the Federal Reserve one day and say, okay, that's it, we're going to reduce mortgage rates? Anyway. Some of this stuff is not too different from what I talked about, Kamala and building new houses and stuff like that. I want to hear some details. I mean, how put a 1 in the chat if you heard over the last several decades so many promises that you could just choke on them. Promises from Obama, promises from Bush, promises. Isn't there a song? Promises. Anyway, accessible higher education. They want to reduce the cost of higher education. Republicans will support. They didn't say they would back, or they did not say that they would create a law or create some kind of bill. They said they would support the creation of additional, drastically more affordable alternatives to a traditional 4-year college degree. But how are you going to do that, and where are you going to do that? You're just saying, okay, college costs too much. We're gonna support the creation of something else. I support the creation of it, but I have no power over it. What are you going to do? Tell me what you're going to do. Sounds good. Healthcare. Republicans will increase transparency, promote choice, competition, and expand access to new affordable healthcare. Like I said last week, why not just stop the drug companies from pillaging us? Can't use certain words. Why not just stop them from having pills that cost $120? Why? Why not? I know why not. It's because their handlers, which is Big Pharma, will be mad. Okay. Okay, there's one more in here. They call the Gen Y, that's for a reason. They call them Gen Y, that's for a reason. Those are the ones that ask why and usually aren't with either side. Either they just go with the flow, or they have very non-conformative or ADHD. Okay. And I believe it's the young people. Every revolution that I have paid attention to was started not by the older people that were set in their ways. It was started by the younger people. Check it out. Okay, chapter 5, American workers and farmers be saved from unfair trade. Our trade deficit in goods has grown, blah, blah, blah. Republicans will support baseline tariffs on foreign goods, pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, and respond to unfair trading policies as tariffs on foreign products go up. So yeah, you can put some tariffs on people. Just study what that's going to do. That may work. Republicans will revoke China's most favored nation status. phase out imports of essential goods, and stop China from buying American real estate and industries. That sounds real good. Let's start out with China's most favored nation status. While we were engrossed in the blue dress, Bill Clinton in the blue dress, Bill Clinton gave China most favored nation status. And yes, I looked it up to make sure. I remembered it and then I looked it up. So how are they going to take most favored nation status away? And by the way, what that means in a simple way is some nations get to ship all their stuff over here and not have high tariffs. So what they're saying here is they're going to put those tariffs back on there. How are they going to do that? I don't know. How are they going to pull it off? Next one, Republicans will revive, the US auto industry by reversing harmful regulations and canceling the electric vehicle mandates and preventing the importation of Chinese vehicles. Okay, so what these things kind of sound like to me is like, you as a politician are going to go into corporate America and tell corporate America what to do. That's not how it works. Corporate America is the one telling the Congress what to do through their billions of dollars that they use to lobby. So you could be blowing smoke about all this, and then somebody from the pharma or somebody from technology or somebody from the auto industry comes in and tells you what's going to be, and none of this is I'm going to be watching. So specifically for this election, whichever person wins, I have a stack of paperwork right here where I've researched all of their promises and all that they said they were going to do. I'm not throwing this paperwork away. I'm going to put Trump's over in a pack, in a binder. I'm going to put Kamala's in a binder and watch exactly what they do. And then we're going to come back and talk about what they've done. Okay, so the other one on this page, Buy American and Hire American. They're going to ban companies that outsource jobs from doing business with the federal government. So what the Republicans are saying is, if you have a company and you get a government contract, you can't outsource the work. I don't know how they're going to do that. The corporate profits are going to drop if they have to pay American prices in wages. So if an American is making $20 an hour and they've outsourced that to somebody who's making $10 an hour, that's going to hurt the corporatocracy's bottom line. And they're not going for that. So, okay, they're going to protect American workers from unfair foreign competition. How? Chapter 6, Protecting Seniors. Social Security is a lifeline for millions of retirees, yet corrupt politicians have robbed Social Security to fund their pet projects. I noticed that they didn't say the Democrats, because a lot of the other stuff on the other pages were blaming them. I just skipped over all that. Both parties have been doing this for years. So you're telling on yourself. How are you going to restore economic stability to ensure long-term sustainability of Social Security? I looked it up today. There are, in 2024, 11,000 baby boomers that are turning 65 every day. Our workforce cannot support that because these young folks don't want to go to a job. They're doing their side hustles, they're starting businesses, they're doing whatever, but they're not on a 9-to-5 job. They don't want that. The Gen Yers and the Gen Xers, they don't want that. So how are they going to, since Social Security has been robbed and it's predicted that it'll be out of money in like 2030 or 2034, sometime it's gonna be soon. How are they going to ensure that Social Security is still around? I don't think it's going to be around, but we'll see. Republicans will protect Medicare finances from being financially crushed by the plan to add tens of millions of new illegal immigrants to the rolls of Medicare. We vow to strengthen Medicare for future generations. How? How about, again, just bringing those drug prices down? That's a big part of it right there. I was appalled when I found out there are people out there that pay $120 for a pill that they have to take like once every other week or something like that. Anyway, that bothers me. Republicans will support increased focus on chronic disease prevention and management. Well, why are they trying to ban vitamins and herbs that we take? This God's green earth has everything we need to heal ourselves, yet they're making it, very hard, in some places impossible, to get the herbs that you need to take care of yourself. I've seen videos, thank goodness for the social media that let people talk, but there are people that have had chronic diseases and they have used things that they got from the ground and healed themselves and reversed things. And why don't you just come out and say, let's let everybody use whatever it is they want to use to heal themselves? Simple enough to me. Chapter 7, cultivate great K through 12 schools, leading to great jobs, great lives for young people. Republicans will support schools that focus on excellence and parental rights. We will support ending teacher tenure, adopting merit pay, and allowing various publicly supported educational models. Who's going to be the judge of that? That's my question. Who's going to judge whether a teacher needs, is doing well? That's just a thought of mine. I said, they said we will expand the 529 educational savings account and support homeschooling families equally. They have not been supporting. The Department of Education does not like homeschoolers. I would love for that to change. But as far as the expansion of 529 educational funds, that's related, at least back then, when my children were younger. There's a guy on the radio called Clark Howard, and he was talking about how great, these 529 plans, you put money in there, and then when the child gets ready to go to college, then you can take it out tax free. So I started a 529 plan for both of my children. I had money in there. And one day I was driving along and kind of turned the radio on. This is a while back, y'all. And he was ranting and raving, and he's not the type person that's just screaming and hollering. So I stopped and listened to what he was doing. Well, what he was saying was that, I'm trying to simplify it. The 529 plan had been hijacked. There was money in there, and the companies that were in charge, specifically, I believe it was in Ohio, let people trade within that fund and drain the fund. So I didn't know, I didn't do anything. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, I got a letter from the Securities and Exchange Commission for the state of Ohio verifying that, the fund had been hijacked by people who found a loophole to trade within there and get the profits out. And this was a while ago. So I cashed in both of those 529 plans and got my children gold. Anyway, I don't believe in all of that stuff, so that won't help us. Republicans will restore parental rights in education and enforce civil rights laws to stop schools from discriminating based on race. We trust parents. Republicans will ensure children are taught fundamentals, reading, writing, history, science, and math, not left-wing propaganda. We will defund schools that engage in inappropriate political doctrine for our children using federal tax dollars. Who will judge? Return education to the states. Now, this right here is interesting. The United States spends more money per pupil on education than any other. I'm going to have to pick this up because it's way low. Than any other country in the world. I don't know if that's true. And yet we are at the bottom of every educational list in terms of results. Now, I did look that up, and one of the places that I looked in 2024, we were 12th out of, the industrialized nations or whatever you want to call them. We are going to lose, we're going to close the Department of Education. How? How are you going to close that behemoth? We're going to close the Department of Education. And I don't know how they think they're going to do that, but they said they're going to do that. And again, it's how. Okay. Somebody says, okay, great Trump's Agenda 47. I don't get that. MAHA will fix a lot. Um, I don't know what MAH, might want to spell these things out because like my brain is not picking up what that is. Chapter 8, bring common sense to government and renew the pillars of American civilization. Republicans will restore safety in our neighborhoods by replenishing police departments, restoring common sense. So there was a lot of defunding the police. I don't know how much of it actually, there was some defunding of the police. And I've seen stories where some of these people who voted for that got carjacked and all that other stuff like that. And it's interesting how these places want to defund the police, but they have guards around their homes and they have security. So that's another thing. It says make Washington, D.C. the safest and most beautiful capital city. I don't know where that one came from, but I know that that's more money to the bureaucrats and their cronies in Washington. Take care of our veterans. Now, that really got me last week. I was real emotional about that because they don't take care of our veterans. And I don't have any veterans in my family. My father wasn't in the military, but a few days. He didn't want to be bossed around, so he found a way to get out of the military. Anyway, Republicans will end luxury housing and taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants and use those savings to shelter and treat homeless veterans. We will restore Trump's administration reforms to expand veteran health care choices, protect whistleblowers, and hold accountable poorly performing employees not giving our veterans the care that they deserve. And that sounds great. I'm hoping that it happens, but I want to know how you're going to do it. Combat, listen to this one, right? This kind of like bothered me a little bit. It says combat anti-Semitism. Why would that be in this platform? I'm going to read it very slowly. Republicans condemn anti-Semitism and support revoking visas of foreign nationals who support terrorism and jihadism. We will hold accountable those who perpetrate violence against Jewish people. What about those who perpetrate violence against Americans, other Americans? Y'all help me out with this. I'm not understanding this whole thing. Why do we have a whole platform section about anti-Semitism? Okay. Just why don't you just say that you're going to revoke the visas of jihadists? That sounds okay. And why are you saying that you're going to get those? You're going to hold accountable those who are perpetrating violence against Jewish people. What about Christian people? What about Buddhists? What about Jews? Muslims. I'm not getting it, y'all. Maybe I'm missing something. Anyway, why are you going to combat? Why aren't you going to combat anti-Christian rhetoric and anti everything, all these other different religions? That's very interesting to me. Republicans support the restoration of classic liberal arts. That's nice that you support that. The way this country is right now, and I'm almost done. The way this country is right now, we don't need any more rhetoric. We need action, and we need action quick. Chapter 9, government of, by, and for the people. That's what our founding documents say that we should be having. Republicans will stop woke and weaponized government. We will hold accountable those who have misused the power of government to unjustly persecute or prosecute political opponents. We will declassify government records, root out wrongdoers, and fire corrupt employees. Really? Some of you all are the corrupt employees, actually. And, Everybody up there's got secrets. One of the things that I learned about, groups and cabals like this is that you can't even get in there if you don't have any secrets. Very few people can get in there if they don't have any secrets. Because if you decide to turn coat, then they've got something on you. So it's easier to keep you in line. Republicans will dismantle censorship and protect free speech. How? We will protect free speech online. How? I'm sitting here doing this live and I'm saying a lot of words that are going to upset the algorithm. So the views on this video more than likely won't get over 300 or 400 because I'm saying words and I'm going to say them. It's like it's about me telling the truth and getting across these things. And views are nice, but I don't like sugarcoating stuff. So I might not get the views. This is censorship. How are they going to stop these corporate people from deciding what algorithm they want to use to make sure that a message like this doesn't get out? How are they going to do that? I just want to know how. I'm just asking. Republicans will defend religious liberty. Oh, Republicans support. What are you going to do about it, though? You support it, but what are you going to do about it? They support a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias that will investigate all forms of illegal discrimination, harassment, and persecution against Christians in America. Okay, what about the other people? Anyway, Republicans will end left-wing gender insanity. What does that mean? We will keep men out of women's sports, ban taxpayer funding for changing your gender, surgeries, and stop taxpayer funded schools from promoting gender transition. So they're saying that they're not going to let taxpayer money go towards that anymore. They didn't say how they're going to stop that. Voting is not going to stop that. So you can't say, okay, we're going to vote these things out or we're going to vote these things in, because there are other people that are going to be voting against you. And right now they don't have a majority. And, I don't know what's going to happen during the election, but a lot of times, even if they do have the majority, it's just a bunch of, anyway. We will implement measures to secure our elections, including voter ID, highly sophisticated paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. I'm kind of anxious to see whether people are going to be pulling suitcases from under tables this year at midnight, pulling suitcases full of ballots under tables. That's not funny, but you see that. Last two, our policy must be to revive our industrial base. Okay, they want to bring industry back here because I don't know if y'all knew, all this stuff gets shipped over to other countries, specifically China, to get built. We don't even have our own arms here. We don't make them anymore here. For the most part, they're made somewhere else. So it's like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. But what policies do you have in place that's going to immediately get industry back over here so that we will be producers and not a service nation? Because right now we're a service nation. Last one is our nation's critical infrastructure and industrial base will save that from malicious cyber attacks. And one of the things that really concerns me, you all, is the grid. And the grid is in bad shape. And it doesn't take much, from what I understand, to put us in the dark for long periods of time. I know some of you might have lived through, I think back in the 80s, there was a blackout in the Northeast. I know New York was part of it, where the power was out for like 5 to 7 days. And I can't imagine how they dealt with it, but the grid is a big concern and everybody knows about it. All these other countries know about it. And last week I talked about blowback, and we do have blowback going on in this country where a lot of these other countries don't like us. And then you've got BRICS. BRICS is growing very fast. And when they said in this policy about keeping the dollar, the world's reserve currency, they cannot control that Because if people want to trade in gold or trade in the renminbi or anything, then they can't control that. What are you going to do? I don't know what they're going to do. Nothing is grounded with reality anymore. Yeah, I mean, according to based on what's going on with the countries, it's not. But you got to be grounded within yourself and figure out what you need to do for yourself and your family. Okay, natural observation says two words: control files. Um, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Um, Estella says Ecuador last week shut down its entire grid for maintenance purposes, researching to figure out what implications. Wow. Yeah, that wouldn't work here because people lose their freaking minds on not having stuff. And one of the things that people might not understand, at least, maybe the younger people, is that when you shut down the grid, the electricity, your water is no longer circulating. So the water goes bad. So you got water coming in your sinks that's being pumped through a system that uses electricity to keep the system going. So if the grid goes down for several days, that water is going to be bad. So water is one of the things we need. They say that we can't survive without water for 3 days. And if the grid goes down and the grocery stores empty out, that's why I'm more concerned with the grid than anything. Any of the other cyber attacks. They go into your bank account and all of that other stuff, but this is serious. So I wanted to see if anybody had any other questions. I do have a few more announcements. While I do these announcements before we leave, I will look in the chat back and forth. So you all know that I've been doing this Escape the Rat Race challenge. It's a 3-day challenge. It's on Wednesdays, Thursday, and Friday, once a month. And I have a small team that kind of helps me do that because I'm not the tech person. They convinced me to take the prices way down just this one time. So we're having a challenge October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I will be teaching how I went from 2 jobs when I first got home from prison to making 6 figures again, because before that I was making 6 figures. How I got from just being like I was on that supervised release, what they call probation, working a job, went and got another job, and then transition after I got my system together, making 6 figures. So that's what I'm going to be teaching. My proprietary system is called the KPG system. Keep what you earn, protect what you earn, and grow what you earn. And so I'm going to give some ideas about how to make $5,000 a month. And the price is ridiculous for this time. I really did not want to agree with them, but there was a reason that I did, and I can't talk about it, but I'll never do this again. So go to escapetheratracechallenge.com. Okay. Okay, we've got okay, yeah. um, I can't do this again, because I'm not even covering the cost of advertising on this one right here. Do you teach how to start your own business? Yes, that's key. I teach that, and I'm going to be teaching how to start at least one business, maybe two, during this challenge. But I'm never giving these prices again. They're unbelievable. It's like $17 to join, and if you want to be one of the people that ask questions, instead of it being like $500, it's like $47. The team, there was a reason they did this, and I was like, just this one time, I'm not doing this again. Y'all know this is ridiculous. It's just not even real. So escapetheratracechallenge.com is out there only this one time. And those who want to ask questions, I'm letting you all know up front because some other people are talking about it. I can't have more than about 40 people asking questions because I'll never get through the questions. And usually that's the highest price one because you only got so much time to answer questions. So that one's going to close out really soon because I can't answer questions all night. The other announcement I missed in the chat. I asked earlier, and I want you to put it again because I'm sorry. So, how many of you put a one in the chat if you are familiar with Myron Golden, Dr. Myron Golden? Put a one in the chat. I'll wait while I read over here and see what other announcements I have. Okay, I don't see but one person that's familiar with him. Well, there's a couple of them. Okay, so I got a new book coming out. Yay. And it's co-authored with Myron Golden. And it's called Increase Your Income and Reduce Your Taxes. So of course he knows how to make money. And back in the day, in 2015, that's when I met him. He actually contacted me and we were speaking. I was literally used to speak on stage and he would talk about making the money and I would talk about saving the money from the IRS. And so this book is out. It'll be here like tomorrow. And let's see. I'm going to put the link to the book in the chat. See if I can do that. And it is okay, so increase your income and reduce your taxes. That's the new book. I'm getting ready to experiment. We're done, but I'm gonna experiment and see if how I can share screen. I don't know if it's gonna work. If it doesn't work, then the stream ends. I don't know if can you all see what I see on the screen? Choose what you share with your window, Brave tab, window, entire screen. Okay, let's see what happens when I share the entire screen. That's not what I want to do. And that's not what I want to do. Let's see. I think what I have to do is something different. So I'm not going to try that this time. I was going to show you a little video. I'm still sitting here thinking of a way to do it. Hold on a second. I'm going to see if this will work. See. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, let's bring you back and try that one more time. What does that one share? What am I sharing? Okay. Let's try something one more time. Okay, I can share a tab or a window. Let's see if I can share that. Did you all see that? Or was I just gone? Did you please let me know whether you saw that or not. And if you did, I feel so proud of myself for doing that. I just wanted to experiment. Somebody says, I see. Oh, yeah, you saw it. Yeah, I did it. So now I understand how to share a video with you guys. Yay. Okay. Anyway, I don't see any more questions, so I am going to sign off. Um, your two favorite people. Oh, that's so sweet, Thomas. So next week we're going to start talking about basic financial survival, and this is what we're going to have to do in order to survive. It's basic stuff, just basic. And we're not, the challenge is different. The challenge is more on along the lines of starting your business and all the things that go along with that. But a lot of people just don't know how to survive from a basic standpoint. So next week, Friday, 8 o'clock, we'll talk about that. And you all have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And watch the videos that I put in the chat. Watch the videos, and I think I put the same videos in the description. Watch those videos and continue to try to educate yourself. I'm glad you're here. I really appreciate you all being here, and I really appreciate the likes. It's not necessarily about the likes. It's more about the education getting out there. Even though they shadow ban me, I'm glad that you're listening, and some of you are sharing with other people, and I really appreciate your share. So have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.